I'm here today with Nikan of Confess to talk about Revenge at All Costs, out right now on Rexius Records. How are you doing?
I'm fine, man. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure having you on the channel. And before we even want to, before we start talking about the record, I want to go back a little bit because the story behind the album, the story behind the band, your story, it's super interesting. And I think it needs attention because it's something that we take for granted when it comes to music and art, but it's not the same case everywhere around the world. So before this album even existed, tell us a little bit of everything that happened back in 2015 and your path from Iran all the way to Norway.
Yeah. When we started recording our second album in around like 2014, we had some ideas about like talk more about political issues that we have in our country, like criticizing religion always been part of our lyrics. So we just wanted to add more into that. And then by the time that we released the album in November of 2015, 2 weeks after that, me and my bandmate Arash, we were arrested by the Revolutionary Guard. Me personally, I was arrested in my house. And for the charges of blasphemy and doing propaganda against the state through our lyrics. So they took us to solitary confinement. 3 months we were there and being interrogated, like tons of questions needed to be answered. And then they sent us to public sector of Evin prison. Altogether, we were in jail for a year and a half, and then we made bail for $80,000. And the first court in 2017 gave us 6 years. We asked for appeal, but I left the country, went to Turkey, and then through some organizations, I could get invitation to come to Norway. And by the time that I was in Norway, I received the second sentence, and it was 12 years and a half plus 74 lashes with additional charges.
Wow. Wow. So throughout this whole process, did your family tell you to quit playing heavy metal?
Never, man. You know, it's one of the biggest gifts I ever had in my life. Yeah, man. You know, it was that I have a very supportive family, always been like that. And it's just for someone that is going to do this type of music, especially in a country like Iran, it's something that you really should cherish if you have a very supportive family, because they also know that what danger you can go into. Not that they are agree with all the things that I did. Of course not. My mom, like any other mom, she was always like, just be careful what you're doing and all that. But you know, but they understood where I come from, and they always supported me even during the days of incarceration, days that I was bailed out, all that stress, and I really owe them a big one that I never be able to repay.
So when you were going through this, were you already thinking of, I'm going to use this experience for my next record, or you were so involved in everything that was happening to you that the next record was not even in your mind at that time?
Man, I'm not gonna lie. At the beginning, it was that when I was in jail, I was like, this is what they don't know what they gave to me. I mean, it's as a protesting artist, as someone that writes about these stuff, it was just a huge source of motivation and inspiration that was given to me. I had a story. I was hearing story from other people. For example, I just said in another interview the other day, I had a cellie, he was a second-degree murderer, and I had a cellie, he was a journalist. And I was also hearing their story. So I was just full of inspiration to write about stuff. And me as a person, I'm a very I would not get over some stuff very easily, right? So I was like, I'm gonna come back. I don't know how, but I'm gonna do this again. But later on, you go under more pressure, and then you'll be more like, man, I gotta fight for my freedom now. So music is something secondary, or like, and you have to deal with a lot of stuff. But always, music been that outlet that I was thinking about, that I have to, because you need to release with all that tension, all all that hatred inside of you. It's a healthy release. And then I was like, it's gonna be the next album definitely gonna be about this event and the different angles of my life during this process. So not a prison album, but the album that comes from those days. And yeah, uh, I mean, it was that hope that I lived with for a long time, that one day I'm gonna put out this album, I'm gonna tell my story through the way that I'm good at, which is music.
So the inspiration started with you in jail. When did you start actually to put pen to paper and start to write what ends up becoming Revenge at All Costs?
Yeah, I remember after 2, 3 months when we were released from jail temporary, they started, because all of my stuff was confiscated, from my instrument to my personal computer, everything that I used to make demo with. They started to bring it back. So, and at the beginning, man, I'm not gonna lie, I looked at my guitar, I was in hate with that, because it was like, you gave me a life, now you're taking it back tenfold. So, but I was like, I'm so stupid. I mean, this is the gift that I have, and this is a weapon actually. So I'm gonna write some music. So I started to writing riffs and stuff. And the first title that one night came to my head was Phoenix Rises, which is the track number 3 on the album. And that whole concept kind of moved me to write the first song. And Phoenix was the first song I wrote for the album. And then it became the second one, the third one, the 10th one. I wrote 17 songs during a couple of months. And when they gave me the sentence, because I still had the hope that I can fight this out, and I can maybe have a like jail time that would be like suspended for a long time, but not the actual jail time again for 6 years. But when they gave me that, it was like just they stepped on my toe, and I was like, I'm gonna release this, and I'm gonna leave this place, because they're gonna bury me in here and set an example for the rest. That was what my lawyer told me also. And when I moved to Turkey, I started writing the lyrics there. So all of those, everything that you hear in Revenge at All Costs is coming from either being in jail or being away from home, either being like released temporary. You don't know when you're gonna get back there, and saw and was seeing things in the courtroom, that how the judge is literally treating us like shit, and you notice that this is a puppet show. So all those rage is 100% real, and is coming from a real place.
Do you worry, or do you care that the band becomes defined by your experiences, or is that something that you're proud of, that the band becomes a little bit of the outlet for the experiences that you had?
I mean, the story sometimes preceded our music at the beginning, and I understood that. But by the time that we released the single tracks from the album, I saw that the questions are being half music, half story, and all that. And I understand that because it has been also 7 years from that time. But the power of this story is actually also moving us, because sometimes we also get tired of some stuff, and then we look at each other and we're like, remember who you are, man. And we, of course, we are proud of what we stood for, and because we come from a society that we know what's going on. So many people they're turning a blind eye, and so many other stuff, and so many other factors added to this. But yeah, we are very proud of the story that we have. Is very unique, and also since we didn't sit back, and we also followed the path that we used to follow. For example, the second album was called In Pursuit of Dreams. We're still pursuing our dreams. So it makes us even more proud with all the obstacles, all the problems that we are still having in so many other different different corners of our lives, but we're still following this. So it's of course, it's very, it's still very even moving for us.
I thought you guys opened the record the best way possible. The intro track sets the mood, not just for the theme of the record, but it sets just the mood for everything. We get to know a little bit about you guys. We get to know what took you from that starting point all the way here. And it kind of gives us an idea of what the record is going to be about. When did the idea for that opening track start to brew in you, that you needed something that was the catalyst to get the rest of the album going?
I understand, man. Um, Actually, at the beginning, we didn't have a plan for intro, but I always love the albums that starts from with the preload. That's my thing. I love that. So, um, with having a DJ in your band, you're always thinking about that kind of atmosphere that you can use in your music. Especially the intro can be the spotlight for your DJ, that he can come up with some crazy ideas. So one night we were actually watching TV, and we were in Norway, and I was talking with Arash, and I told him that the intro of Evan, which is the actual phone call that I made from prison. It's the actual phone call that I made from prison. It's not enough for it as in, because Evan was supposed to be the track number one. It's not enough. We need to, as you said, and I'm very happy that we gave you that kind of feeling, because we were exactly about to do that. It was like, we want to set the tone. We want to give the audience the momentum that this is what you're going to hear. You're either going to like it or you're going to hate it. So since you still have time, you can move to a next album with the next artist. This is about us, and this is about us. Like, as selfish as possible, this is what it is. And then he was like, yeah, we can work on that. But I was like, there are tons of stuff out there on YouTube, on like radio channels. Maybe we can find their archives or get in touch with them that they talk about our story. So let's turn into audio and work with them. And then it came also with the idea of, let's use like parts of the very, because we knew that which part of the album, the lyrics, government was very pissed off with. We're like, from the last album, we're like, let's use them also as a, like, someone is changing the channels. So the idea kind of completed itself. So it started with the Iranian band being executed, and then step by step you're hearing the story, and then also the second sentence that they gave us and all of that. So for a listener, and it actually was 4 minutes. I was like, this is too long, man. We have to cut it. We have to cut. It's like a fucking novel. We have to turn it to like 1-ish, 2-ish, and then at the end it's like 2 minutes or something. But yeah, we are, and it turned out very well. And it's good to hear that it also gave you that kind of feeling, because that was what we aimed for.
This record has a very interesting texture. It feels very raw, almost like a live album recorded in the studio. Is that something that you wanted in order to get that aggression, that the lyrics, that the stories that you're telling have to be also represented in the sound of the record? Is that something that you wanted to combine?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I remember that when I was talking with Elink, the producer of the album, he's also the dude that always wants to capture that momentum you're playing, and the stuff that happening, not cutting when the song is done. He doesn't really want to cut the sound, so you still hear the sound of the stick or someone is talking to you know what I mean. So I was like, I want a raw album, because it needs to give that kind of feeling. So I remember the first couple of months, he was sending me back the guitar sound. We were working on the sound of the guitar, and I was like, it's still polished. It's still I needed more raw. So we got to a point that we wanted to give the listener the feeling that he is or she is sitting among us while we are playing, and it's like we are playing in a garage. It's like we are dirty, we are sweating, all the songs are playing, it's like we are playing the album from top to the bottom in one take, and I think we got that pretty much. And that's, for example, why I love Russ Robinson as a producer, because he's the master of getting that kind of energy from his musician while he were doing Roots by Sepultura or Iowa by Slipknot or the albums by Korn. So I love that kind of thing. I don't really like the polished sound and like thinking too much while you're doing your music. You got to let it out, and then you gotta work with that. So yeah, that was very intentional. The raw and the pureness of sound.
And I really like the guitar sound. I mean, this is a very guitar-driven record. It doesn't matter how you look at it. You always going to gravitate to the chunkiness, to the grooviness that the guitars have, and how much they conduct the listener from one song to the next. Did you have a game plan for what you wanted the guitars, not just to sound like, but to feel like on this record?
I understand. Yeah. No, actually, because I mean, maybe it's interesting to know I'm a freestyler. I improvise. I do not write music really. So I'm a dude that when I just find something, like find a riff, something, I just plug in and just make a demo out of it. And then most of my songs are being finished in 45 minutes, maybe even 30 minutes. There are very few songs that took me a while to finish them, but answer to your question is no, but maybe because since the beginning I was more of a guitar player in my band, and since I'm writing music, I'm more, as a guitar player, I'm more focused unconsciously on the guitar. That's why maybe it's the engine more of the album. So to me that's natural. But also, since I really love my metal to be very punchy and like having lots of riffs and like surprising the listener by the rhythm section also. So maybe that's why it's giving that kind of a feeling.
You mentioned that you worked on the lyrics after the songs when you were in Turkey. When you're putting the lyrics together, do you sometimes have to go back to some of these tracks and rearrange a little bit of the song for the lyrics to fit in, or is the transition a little bit smoother for you?
Not really. I mean, I remember when I had the demos, I was first I was listening. I was like, what kind of feeling this song is giving to me? Because I either having a bunch of lyrics aside, or that I want to put on the song, or I write the lyrics while I'm listening to the song. So it like works both ways for me. In that case, I would say no, I didn't change the rhythm or anything. I tried to make the lyrics work on a song. So that's why sometimes even while we're playing live, it's really hard to sing and play because you don't really think that how you're gonna work the song. And of course, it's part of learning while you're writing, because you also have to think about while you're gonna play it live in the future. But not really. I mean, I would say maybe in 5% of times I just changed something somewhere to be able to make the lyric work and give it that kind of a bounce, because I also love hip hop. I also really love hip hop, and I love that kind of a bounce that it can give to the song. And I do not really follow that same old pattern of like a very classic form of singing lyrics in a metal song. So yeah.
And speaking of singing, do you come into a record with a game plan on, okay, on this record, I want to try to do this, I want to try to do that? Or since the whole process for your albums are very organic, like you said, do you follow the same path with your vocals, very organic, very natural? What comes out is what stays on it?
Yeah, very much like. I mean, I lots of our the vocals that you hear on the album is like one take. It's with like just reading the lyrics with the way that I just wrote it, like I arranged it. And while we were recording it with Arash, he's always my pal when I'm recording vocals, because he knows what I'm thinking about while I'm gonna do it, or at least what I'm looking for. So when we were like listening to most of the records, we were like, we cannot really edit this. This is good. We captured the moment. It gives me that kind of a feeling. I don't really care if the pronunciation of this word could have been like this, because to me it adds to the album. I mean, we are all humans. When you're angry, you don't really care about how you're talking about or all of that. So and also with the style of my vocal, guttural vocals, it's just all emotion. And yeah, most of the vocals in the album was in one take. And when we were listening to it, and also, man, I had some difficult times while recording the vocals because the lyrics was like getting to my head. I remember, for example, while I was recording Evan, all the time I was like just closing my eyes, just trying to imagine, remember the pictures of being in jail, things like that, and singing. Because to me, it was like this is the way to do this justice. This is how I and to hear from people that they feel that kind of a um uh like frustration in the song. It's just it this is what I was looking for, and I'm happy that I hear from people that I could do it.
One of my favorite tracks on the album is Under Surveillance. I just feel like it's just such a great track. It just, I mean, all around, musically, lyrically, vocally, it just feels like it's my favorite track on the album. And I know it's hard to ask you what's your favorite song because all of them are your favorites. But is there a song on this album that when you're playing it, uh, perhaps takes you a little bit back to where you were, that was the inspiration to the song, and it feels a little bit more personal than the others?
Of course, man, Evan is the most personal songs that I ever wrote, next to 5 Years in Cave in the last album, the last track on that album. But Evan is the biggest one. And if I want to choose another two, I would say with the oh yeah, as you said, it's like these are my kids, right? So it's just hard to pick them, but you're always proud with what one of your kids did once, and we always remember that. So to me, is that the I would pick Evan because it's very personal, and I think it's what this album is about at the end of the day. And I would pick You Can Tame the Beast and Under Surveillance slash
All right.
Megalodon. Yeah.
All right. I have one last question for you, and that is with everything that has happened to you, are you jaded in terms of how you look at the world, considering all the things that the world has thrown at you, or you're a person that always looks at the glass being half full and there's always room to grow and become better with all the adversity that you've been through?
I guess with the path that we choose to go, like 5 6 years ago, after all of this, it kind of tells that we are the guys that kind of look at the half full of the glass. And because it was very easy to give up, man. We had all the rights. We had all the rights to be like, man, fuck this. I mean, whatever. Are you gonna go to jail or not? But all this experience, the trauma that it gives you, it's like, yeah, maybe I just want to play guitar in my room and that's it, and just write music for myself. But naturally, we didn't do that. I mean, something inside of me was always about, I gotta flip this. I gotta flip this, and I gotta get out of this situation. There's no savior. No one's gonna help me. Nobody. Yeah, I did some mistakes in the past, like self-destruction while I was like trying to take this in. I was 21-year-old at the time. I was just needed something to keep me calm. And then at the end of the day, I noticed that after a couple of years, it's just driving me crazy. So I really like came back from all those days and just tried to turn it over as much as I can. But yeah, but also there's this anger in me that I guess always I've been dealing with, because and that's why I was driven toward metal music, because it's a great outlet for someone that feels frustrations. And writing music, writing lyrics always give me that outlet and the voice that I can talk about the things and the opinions that I have. So it always been like both sides, but this anger, I didn't want to be the guy who said that why nothing changed. I want to participate and like try as hard as I can with the things that I know to to just tell my story and just do my thing and just hope at the end that someone out there just understand you and be like, yeah, I was inspired by what he said. So
fair enough. You're a better man than me. I think I would have put the guitar aside and forgotten about playing guitar ever for the rest of my life.
man, you never know. You never know when you get to a situation. Sometimes you react very differently, and sometimes you see sides of yourself that you've never known that it was inside of you. It happened to me in so many different cases. I was like, is this me? You act very differently in the situations that you're under pressure. Pressures makes the stone become a precious stone. So yeah, you never know.
Turns a regular stone into a diamond. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, Nikan, thank you very much for your time today. It was an absolute pleasure to chat with you. Thanks for coming on the channel. All the best to you and the guys in the band, to the record. Have fun out there, and I hope to see you playing live soon at some point.
Thank you, brother. It was awesome talking to you, and I just hope all the best happens to you and your channel. You're awesome.
All right. Thank you very much, man. All the best.
Of course, man. Thank you.